please stand. And tonight we have the honor of having the American Legion Coast 522 color guard present the colors for us. If you'll remain standing, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilmember Fred Franklin. Will you post the colors, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's our custom for roll call, we use it we introduce our council members. And so to my immediate right is our Mayor Pro Tem, Sandra Mott, followed by Councilman Ed Smith, and Councilman Fred Franklin. To my left is Councilman Robert Green, Councilman Tom Lawson, and Councilman Jeff Singer.
I'll move for the adoption of the agenda.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. There are copies of the agenda on the rear table there to the rear of the chambers. If you didn't get a copy as you came in, please feel free to do so, and if you'd like to follow along. First item on the agenda, item of business, is the consent agenda, and our manager will lead us through that.
This evening we have 4 items on the consent agenda. The first is Resolution 2013048 for the acceptance and approval of monthly financials for October 2013. The next is the approval of council briefing and action minutes from November 7th, 2013, followed by the approval of council meeting minutes from November 14th, 2013. And last on the list is the approval of council closed session minutes, November 7th, 2013.
Thank you. Council, is there any questions of the manager on any of the items that are on the consent agenda? Well, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the like sign. Okay, the consent agenda does pass. That leads to the next item on the agenda.
The next section is presentations, introductions, and proclamations. There are none this evening. Moving on to board appointments, there are none for consideration during this meeting. Public hearings, there are none scheduled for this evening. The next section, old business, there is no old business on this agenda. The next section, 7, new business, we have one item on the agenda. It's ordinance 2013038, amending budget ordinance 2013013 in an amount of $2,000 to contract for repairs to the boiler at Town Hall.
That is a new item that's been added to the agenda that we didn't discuss or didn't discuss in detail. I don't think we discussed it all, but we
No, sir. We added it to the agenda because when we found this in between the last meeting and now, we felt like we would hate to go through a danger in letting it go until the January meeting and have something happen. So we asked to place this on the agenda for council's consideration for adoption so that we can go ahead and get started with repairs as soon as possible.
very good. Anyone have questions for the manager concerning this item?
Are we not still under warranty? It's for this building, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, it says, I thought it said town hall.
It is for this building, but not under warranty.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, never mind.
Make a motion to approve 2013038.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item passes. hopefully, we can get the repair or the replacement done and no danger of freezing water pipes over the holiday period.
The next section under administrative reports, there are none scheduled for this evening. This moves us to public forum.
To say the order is a little bit different tonight for the meeting due to the nature of our meeting. We normally have 2 periods in each of our monthly meetings for the public to come forward and address council. But tonight, this is the only one that's actually on the agenda. So if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council for on any subject, any issue, please, we haven't had anyone to sign up, but we'd like for you to take this opportunity to come forward, address council. We ask that you state your name, give your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And this is for you to inform council. We won't get into discussion or dialogue with you. It's a matter of communications, what this is for at this point in time. And it doesn't mean that we don't take it seriously or that we wouldn't do due diligence with it. It certainly would be if it's something that council thinks that it needs to come before them as business. But does anyone would wish to address council at this point in time? Having no takers, we will let you know also that we do have forms at the rear where you can actually write your comments if you prefer that method. With that, we'll close the public forum and go to the next item of business.
The next section is for the good of the order. And these would be starting up with comments.
Okay. Well, this is the last meeting for this current council. We have 2 council members that are going off council, and that is Councilman Fred Franklin and Councilman Tom Lawson. The floor is yours if either of you would like to say anything at this particular time.
Tom, I'll defer to you to start with since you served 8 years.
All right. I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight. Here we are 8 years later, and I'm still here. So that's the rewarding thing, to come through 40 cycles, to serve with the people that I've served with over the years, and to have accomplished what we've accomplished. It has been really a privilege for me in every way. And I've always had, there's always been good support from people I've served with. Some of them are in the audience here tonight, some of them are here on the dais. I will see you around town, I'm sure. And for me, it'll be an interesting departure. I think it's been about 20 years since I haven't been on a board or committee or a council of some sort in the town. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do in my retirement. But I also do want to say I wish tonight, I want to mention my friend Roger Fowler, who is not here. He served, we ran together when we first got on the council and worked together and anticipated we would both be here this evening, but without his help, he was a guiding force. He was always somebody that you could count on, and he was someone who accomplished a lot for this town. And so I promised him I would say that tonight and extend his gratitude as well. So with that, I turn it over to Fred.
Great. Thank you, Tom. I wrote down a few things because I just wanted to make sure that I said a few things correctly. It has been a privilege to have served this town for 12 of the last 18 years. And I'd like to thank the citizens of Lewisville for providing or for giving me that privilege to have served that amount of time. Here's where I didn't want to mess up. I'd like to thank the town staff for being responsive to questions and suggestions that I may have offered during those years. And I believe that we're fortunate to have the caliber of the staff that has been assembled, and I can only believe that the staff will always strive to provide the best services possible to the citizens of Lewisville. Sort of mimic Tom, as I look around this room at the council portraits that's hanging on the wall, it's been an honor to have served with the people that are pictured with me in these portraits. Unfortunately, some of these people are no longer with us, but we will remember them for what they have stood for in trying to keep Lewisville a great place to live. Now, with that being said, I can do away with my notes. I notice it says we're retiring. I'm not so sure that that is probably going to happen. It has been a pleasure, for the most part, to have served 12 years on the town council. There has been trying times. There's been times we hadn't got along together. There's been challenges, but we've all agreed through the many different councils that I served with to agree to disagree at times. And I think that's one good characteristic of the governing board of the town of Lewisville. This past election cycle for me, I really didn't give it my all the way I have in the past as far as trying to get out. I had trying to dodge weather, make a fall crop of hay, other things going on. Just, by the time it got close to election day, I'd lost my spirit, so to speak. Run out and stuck up a few signs the night before the election and just sat back and see what happened. Sort of glad to be stepping back, though. As I enter into next year, I'm going to be transitioning from a wonderful career with a good employer here in Winston-Salem and going into an encore career, hopefully, to get back into the business that I love, which is providing safety and health protection for folks. It's probably a blessing in disguise that I won't have to go through another budget cycle next spring as I'm trying to make that transition. So with that being said, again, back to the staff. Kathy, you've always done us a great job. Joyce, I've worked with you for even back in the first 8 years. You've been a wonderful clerk for us. Bo, you know Steve Garl. No.
Watch it, he's the new manager.
Well, that's true. And Hank, keep the staff going, keep developing the staff, provide the services to the town. And the folks that's sitting in the audience tonight, I appreciate your support that I've had through the years. And we'll see what happens as we go down the road. Thank you so very much.
Well, those are certainly very noteworthy comments from each of you on behalf of the town. And I think I can speak for the citizens that we're indebted to Tom and to Fred for years of service. It's not an easy job. I think we all know that. Those that are sitting on this side certainly know that. It requires a lot of extra time away from our families, but I think needless to say, these two gentlemen have a passion for this town, and they've served well in all the capacities that they've been a part of. So we'll miss you, and we thank you for your service, and we know where you live. So, thank you so much, really and truly. The next next item on the agenda is the oath of the office, and it will be presided over tonight by our resident Superior Court Judge, William C. Wood, Jr. I did get that right, Bill. I think the mayor is first, and then you will do the new council.
Be glad to do it that way. Do you all have Bibles that you can get to? We've got them down here if you need them.
Sorry. Are we going to do it all together, or are we
Do
just
it all
going
together?
Yeah.
Special Bible, that's fine.
Yeah, they're going to, they're asking us to picture so you can come down to the front.
And it looks like it's got some presentations. Let you do that. Okay, everybody that's going to be sworn in.
We're going to do the mayor first, and then.
We'll do the mayor, it's
council.
fine, if that's how you prefer.
Is that, you tell us, Ms. Walker.
Right. Mr. Mayor, if you put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right. Repeat after me. I, and state your full name,
I, Dan Robert Pugh,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws,
I will
that I will support and
maintain
maintain
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as mayor of Lewisville, so help me God.
as mayor of Lewisville, so help me God.
Okay, now you have been sworn in. I declare that you are the mayor of Lewisville. I also want to say thank you for the work that you do for this town.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Your service is appreciated. Okay, if the others will come on up, the youth group. You want to do let's do all the council members at once. It's okay.
Yeah, come on, go there. Come on, baby.
Everybody ready? Need a Bible. Okay. Has everybody got a Bible? If you will, please raise your right hands. And with one exception, that is stating your name. Repeat after me. Raise your right hands, please. Okay.
Well, it's
got it.
me, not you.
Yes, I know. I just realized. Miss Moss, go ahead. Okay, I, and state your full name. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
And I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United
States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as council member for the town of Lewisville.
as council member of the town of Lewisville.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And congratulations to all of you by the powers vested in me by the general statutes. I declare that you have all been sworn in and are now council members of the town of Lewisville. And again, congratulations. And some And I want to thank our law enforcement. We really serve us a wonderful community and make it much better. So thank you.
Matt mentioned that while the judge is signing the documents, that Councilmember Ken Sadler couldn't be with us tonight. He's been out of town on a business trip this entire week. And we do that even at the point of election, so that he was not going to be able to be with us. He will actually be given the oath of office at our January 2nd meeting, briefing and action meeting, and that will be administered, I think, by the town clerk, which is legal also. At this time, we're going to take a break, and we have a reception that's been provided for us tonight. I think, no, sorry? Okay. You're in for a treat. It's one of the elements of the reception is the cake baked by our own Joyce Walker. So please enjoy. Now we're continuing tonight's meeting. We will call to order the organizational briefing and action meeting for the Lewisville Town Council of December the 12th, 2013. First order of business is to call the roll, and it'd be very simple. We have council member at this point in time, Sandra Locke, Councilman Ed Smith, Councilman Jeff Zinger. To the left is Councilman Robert Green and Councilman Mike Horn. Do have an agenda before you. I think it has been, is there any additional items on this agenda that we have seen before?
that everything is the same. Council member Sanger asked that the CCUC agreement update be added, and that was added, so we can do nothing. But other than that, is as we discussed in the briefing.
I think that is in the manager's report. That's where that was added. Okay. With that, council, what's your pleasure with the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. The first order of business on the meeting will be the council service awards to the retiring council members from previous council. And have that, if we'll ask Mr. Lawson and Franklin. I don't see Mr. Franklin.
He's retired.
He really retired, didn't he? Well, Tom, you heard from us earlier. We heard from you. We appreciate it very much, your kind words. And I think needless to say that we will miss you, the council. We appreciate very much your service to the town, what you added to our council. Tom was never at a loss for new ideas. And I don't think that will diminish at all. He did truly. But to Mr. Tom Lawson, his town's appreciation for serving as council, serving as mayor from December the 1st, 2005 to December the 6th, 2007, and serving as council member from December the 6th, 2007 to December the 12th, 2013. Tom, thank you so much. Congratulations. Enjoy your retirement, okay?
Thank you.
Next order of business is on the agenda is the election of the mayor pro tem. And it's been our custom, we have for years past always nominated the top vote getter in the past election. And I see I truly believe that that's a precedent that we want to continue. And
Mr. Mayor, I think certainly it is a custom the town has, and it's one that served us well. It has a lot of merit to continue that, and therefore I would like to place a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem of the town of Lewisville, Councilwoman Sandra Mock, and accepted by unanimous acclamation of this council.
Very good. Second the motion by acclamation, and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we do have we'll say new Mayor Pro Tem, but the continuing Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Sandra Mock. Congratulations. Thank you. I take it you'll accept that position?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I'd be worried if you didn't, but okay. Then as mayor, have the opportunity and the privilege of making some council appointments that involve our council members and even to our staff for some of the various committees that we're responsible for. And they are listed in those committees and boards are listed in the agenda. But for the Winston-Salem for South County Urban Planning Area Transportation Advisory Committee, or better known as the TAC, I will serve as the primary delegate from the town of Lewisville on that committee, and name Mr. Mike Horn as the alternate. For the Piedmont Triad Regional Council of Governments delegates, we have also a primary and alternate. I will serve as the primary to the Piedmont Triad Regional Council of Governments, and alternate will be Mr. Ed Smith, Councilman Ed Smith. We have the next committee is our Special Projects and Grants Committee. And we have 3 members of our council that will serve on that committee, naming Mr. Robert Green as the chair of the committee. Members will be Councilman Jeff Singer and Councilman Dr. Ken Sadler. There is somewhat of a new committee that we, in this past 2 years, that we have organized, and its name is the Services and Utilities Committee. And for that, Mr. Jeff Zinger is going to be appointed chair. Mr. Mike Horn will be a council representative on that. And our town manager also will serve in that capacity. We should note that the council will basically, in due time, sooner rather than later, we'll formalize this committee by adopting a charter for it. And as work progresses, we anticipate that we'll add citizen members and also additional professional and technical members that will be acting as resources for that. And for the public's benefit, this is really the first steps forward in expanding sewer coverage for the town of Lewisville. So that's what the primary workload will be initially on that committee. It's going to be very important, and it's something that we're extremely interested in, and we think will be an absolute benefit and advantage for our citizens. The next committee that we have is what we're calling the Facilities / Land Development Committee, and appoint Mr. Ed Smith to that as chair. Council member will be Robert Green. I will also serve on that committee, and then also we have our town manager as part of that committee. And then the last committee that we'll make appointments for tonight will be the Planning Board Liaison Committee. This is the committee that basically works between council and the planning board, and it's made up of both council members, planning board members, and staff. Ms. Sandra Mock is appointed chair of that committee. Members from the council will be Mr. Ed Smith, Mr. Hank Perkins, our town manager, rather than the town attorney at this point, but will be on that committee, as well as our planner, Mr. Marty Myers, and then the planning board chair and the planning board vice chair also will serve in their capacities on that committee. So, with that, that is the appointments for this council. Any questions or discussion? Yes, ma'am.
You had added under Special Projects Review, I believe you were changing the name to Special Projects Review and Grants.
Right. Well, I just called it Special Projects and Grants. So
That's what I'm saying, you added grants to
grants
the
to that,
town.
yes,
Okay,
exactly.
just want to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no further questions or discussion, we'll go to the next item of business.
Okay, the next item of business this evening is other presentations, introductions, and or proclamations. Under A, proclamations and presentations, we do have one. We have 2013011.
I do not have that.
The signature. It's for each.
Okay. This is a proclamation that's very certainly near and dear to our town, and recognizing the role and the work of our military and those that have served and continue to serve. And I would like to read it if you'll bear with me. The Town of Lewisville Proclamation 2013-011, Armed Forces Community Covenant. We, the elected leadership of the town of Lewisville, recognize the sacrifice and commitment that veterans, active National Guard, and reserve military service members, as well as their families, have made and are making every day in assignments and deployments around the world. We are committed to building strong communities through recognition and support of our men and women in uniform and their families. We will work to create a strong relationship between the community and military personnel who live and work nearby. We will strive to educate all men, women, and children in cities and towns across this great country of the value and strength that comes from being service members, veterans, and their families living in their communities. We will assist community leaders at all levels in developing programs and policies in support of our nation's veterans, military personnel, and their families. Finally, we will support and promote and implement the nationwide efforts of the Armed Forces Community Covenant Program, supporting those we serve this December 12th, 2013. And it'll be signed by all members of council and presented to the commander of our local American Legion, Commander Tom Miller.
Great pleasure that we present this to you as commander of 522. And we do have one additional member that we would like to get we will get his signature on there for you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I would. I'd like to thank the council, and I mean this past and present. I greatly appreciate the support of the council and the mayor and the staff, certainly. We have all these little projects and things going on throughout the year, and we're always supported, and we really appreciate it. I want to mention that our single biggest fundraiser this year, other than membership dues, was the bricks from the square. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say how much we appreciated the council's support over the years in that endeavor. And we never have a visitor come to town that we don't take them there to show. We really appreciate it.
Great.
And we appreciate this very much. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to new business.
Okay.
All right, I was having some technical difficulties with my iPad. I hope you don't have the same.
We do.
You do? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of 2014 schedules. And I have in my hand in paper the 2014 meeting schedule.
I guess I have to talk about that since you can't.
Yeah, we don't have to.
I don't know, I guess, Joyce, can you lead us through this so they can understand?
Guess what? It's a piece of paper. I have no idea what happens with this stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. If you just want to pass that down so you can see the meeting schedule. It's what we always have every year. It's all of our boards, all of our committees, as well as yours, and the couple of highlighted pieces at the very end. Because if you recall, I did send that out to you about 6 weeks ago. For comment. Those couple of highlighted items are just those items that changed because of the holiday in November and December. There was also a question on there and that was, did you want to keep your briefing meeting time at 6:30? And, just things that you can change now. So whatever you would like to do.
Well, we, if you'll recall, to accommodate a couple of the members of the past council, we did move our meeting time on our briefing the first Thursday of each month from 6 to 6:30. And I guess the question is, do we want to keep that time for the meeting to begin, or do we want to change it back to 6 o'clock? That's am I correct on that? So it'll be up to, I guess, the wish of the council, certainly.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we move it back to 6 o'clock.
Second.
All right. How about discussion? discussion, by anyone? Okay, having none, well, we have a motion to move the meeting time back, start our meetings, regular briefing meetings, the first Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. And we have a second for that motion. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, we'll have a new, or go back to the old schedule
Okay.
for meeting time.
Now, when I do send it out to the world, then that will be changed, and you'll get that on email, folks, not iPad.
Okay.
The next thing was your 2014 development review schedule, and we'll pass that out too. It's kind of small here. If you want me to print you a copy, I will print you a copy at 11 by 17, so you can actually read it. But I will also be sending that one out to the world, so you can have that too on your computer. That schedule is based on your public hearing date. If you will look at that, you will notice that your regular public hearing date will be, let's say, tonight. But there's another row underneath tonight's date, so that if you decide you have a public hearing tonight and you would like to take more time to deliberate, or you have questions that you need to have answered, there's the next month is also on there to allow you additional time. And all of that, everything that's on that schedule is basically based on state statutes. When we have to send letters out, when we have to advertise, how many days we have to advertise, etc. So that schedule is one that we basically follow the statutes on.
And that follows right along with the planning board and
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Their order of business.
Yes.
Do we,
I'll just
Do we-
need a
do we
motion
need
to
to
approve the
approve
meeting
that?
schedule. Yes, both of them if you.
okay. Before we do that, now what was the second item, zoning board of adjustment included for city county planning?
When you look at that schedule, we have to agree with the zoning board of adjustment folks that might have to come to some of our meetings, so we collaborate with them and look at their schedule and make sure we all agree for everything. They also attend our, what do you call those meetings? The meetings that guys have to come from downtown? TRC, thank you, I'm bad on remembering names. But we have to make sure that all of those folks are in agreement and they come, so all of that is on that schedule.
So we do need a formal approval of the development review schedule.
Make a motion to approve.
Is it for both?
Yep.
Are there any questions or concerns, even though we don't have the available on our iPads at this point in time? We've got one copy that we're circulating. Okay.
Aren't you glad that I print paper?
Paper's your friend.
I know.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, the development schedule is approved. That brings us to item 6B. No, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, it is.
Now, there was a third one, but we don't have those either. Meetings, holidays, and special meetings.
Yeah, that was just all of those meetings put on one piece of paper, and you'll get that also in the mail. I try to, so that you get a meeting at a glance, and you know, for example, a certain week in every month, staff is just booked to capacity, stuff like that. That's all.
Needless to say, we don't have to approve that. Okay. All right, that does bring us to 6B, the resolution 2013-047.
The next is 2013-047, as the mayor just said. This is setting a public hearing for January 9th, 2014, to receive comments on rezoning case L-074 at 6407 Shallowford Road.
It's passing.
Okay, if you're passing around your resolution.
Refresh us on being briefed about this particular subject for public hearing.
Martin Myers.
What questions do you have? I'm not sure we've been briefed on it, to tell you the truth.
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
This is a case that has come before your planning board, and your planning board has had its public hearing and is referring it favorably to you folks. It is the property that is located along Shallowford Road there at the intersection of Stiers and Shallowford, right across from what used to be formerly the Lewisville Furniture. It's a one-story house that has historically been used for accounting. An accounting business has been there, which was started years ago as a customary home occupation. And the situation changed some time ago that it's no longer a home occupation, and the owner, Mr. Fix, is seeking the rezoning of the property to a designation that would allow it to continue to be used for an accounting practice there, but as a formal business property. The reason that it's no longer a customary home occupation is Mr. Cornelius, Ken Cornelius, that works there, no longer lives in the property. He has moved to another location, or lives at another location, so it no longer qualifies. So this is just an attempt by the owner, Mr. Fix, to put the house into a proper designation. He understands that the property, although it's ideally suited for what Mr. Cornelius is doing there now, he understands that should someone else seek to use the property in another form or fashion, that they'll have to come back before you folks with a brand new site plan and new uses that would be allowed under the LD1 zoning designation. So this is kind of just a placeholder rezoning, if you want to call it that.
Any questions with Marty?
Yeah, so what current, it's residential now, so what current zoning are they asking for?
LD1S. With the, it's a very narrowly drawn LD1S, and that it only allows, I think, professional office, miscellaneous office, neighborhood organization. I think they were asking for single families to keep single family in there in case it needed to revert back to that, since that's a approved use within the LD1S. I think that covers it. Like I say, it's a placeholder. He's not asking for anything that would be more intensive than what's there now. It's very low volume, very minimal traffic if any. You just have one accountant, and Mr. Cornelius has a staff person that assists him. A lady, I think, works with him, so there's just the two employees there. No foot traffic.
Go ahead. Any other questions of our planner? Thank you, Marty.
Yes, sir.
A question of our attorney, I guess. If we certainly will take this up in our briefing session on January the 2nd, and if there's any unintended consequences of whatever that we may discuss or find out about at that point in time, if we go ahead and set the public hearing for January the 9th, you see where I'm coming? There may be some problems, or
Yes,
there may
sir.
not be. I'm just asking the question if it happened to be.
Yes, sir. First, without presuming too much, so this is a very simple rezoning. It's a technical rezoning at the most. There are no changes to the site, the location, I think, other than they may have to delineate where existing parking is. There's no additional buildings or changes in the buildings or anything like that. So I hope that alleviates some of the concerns that you might have, and I'm sure you'll hear more about that on January 2nd at the briefing meeting. But the motion would be to have this public hearing set for January 9th, but as always, in the event that you have questions on the 2nd, or if you have questions on the evening of the 9th, when the matter comes on for public hearing, you may certainly continue the public hearing or adjourn the public hearing until the next meeting. I would not I'd recommend that if something happens and you have questions on the second, that you not cancel the public hearing set for the night because the advertisement will have been paid for, but simply consider opening the public hearing and then adjourning it so that you can get additional information. Again, in this case, I don't think that that's going to be likely, just based upon having seen it go through the planning board process as well. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. If not,
Yeah, it does. I think that was certainly for me. Hopefully it was some with the council members.
Make the motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go ahead and set the public hearing for this case.
Second. And we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that public hearing has been set for January the 9th. And we'll go to the next item of business.
Okay, the next item on the agenda this evening is ordinance 2013-037. This is amending budget ordinance 2013-013 in an amount of $23,010 to transfer salary and benefits from Stormwater Department to Public Works for an additional worker to include advertising costs for the position.
Maybe for clarity of our public and maybe even some council, that you want to give us a little bit of background as to how this came about.
I'd be happy to. I think everyone remembers some time ago in the spring we had a vacancy when Chester Patterson, our stormwater administrator, left us to go to the city of Burlington for a position there. In the interim, we have been evaluating, I guess, choices and alternatives for what we could do with stormwater. And I think in October, I briefed the council that we were considering a better use of this position vacancy was more for a generalist, semi-skilled, skilled position in the Public Works Department, and that we would absorb into, by other means, the duties for stormwater administration through existing employees and contract work. And then we, at that point, during October, we did some interviewing with some private consulting firms and firmed that opinion up. And then in November, it came back before the council with the recommendation that it was in fact the best way to go to replace our vacancy with a Public Works employee only and make necessary alterations to the stormwater functions.
Any members of council have questions or additional comments?
Maybe I'm not recalling exactly, but I thought we had talked the other night about actually tabling this until January. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that's what we had talked about
It was this, I was asked to put it on the new council agenda for this meeting.
as opposed to the time.
I didn't understand it that way.
Yeah. Other comments or discussions or problems with that?
I just thought that our discussion was we were going to put it off until January. Is what I was thinking, and maybe maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I thought we were going to do, is put it off until January. We talked about some other issues and thought that it would be prudent to put it off until then. But maybe I'm recalling wrong.
Mr. Brown, I'm just kind of coming into this, and I think probably Councilman Sadler has a key interest in staffing if his future involvement is past involvement is any predication on his interest in the future. I think his insight would be helpful, certainly if he'd be up to speed, because we're talking about a significant expenditure of money. One that will be reoccurring year after year, and it would be probably helpful. And certainly to me to understand a little more about the need. And I'd like to hear more about the consultant's recommendations of why that would be, this particular position was recommended. And again, I'm not trying to slow process down. It's just not sure I fully understand what I'm getting ready to vote on, I suppose.
Well, actually, it's not new money. It's transferring from one pot to the next.
Yeah, although it will be a recurring expense in future budgets because it is a new position.
Well, it is. It's not technically, I guess you could call it a new position, but it's really not. But I understand your concern, and I certainly appreciate the consideration of all council members. Anything else to add?
No, sir.
And I was correct on the
Yeah,
transfer of funds, not.
Yeah, Councilman Horn, this is something we're certainly willing to discuss with you, but when we went through the vacancy, it was discussed that Chester performed duties of stormwater administrator, but the lion's share of his time was more of a generalist, skilled public works employee, but there were salary considerations and differential between him being quote-unquote stormwater administrator and a very difference in the amount of workload between his stormwater duties versus general public works duties. So when he moved on from us, we evaluated whether or not the town was in necessary need of a full-time stormwater administrator or better served with someone in a public works position, and the salary considerations that go with both positions.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not suffering to a great extent because of the burden of work that has to be done by the department for at least another month,
We certainly can handle it.
yeah, Councilman Sadler gets back, I think that would be approved.
What's the consensus or the wish of other council members? Agree.
I agree.
Okay. Well, I think that we will table action on that until, I guess, the January meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for indulging my lack of background on this.
No,
Thank you.
And we'll go to the next item, administrative reports.
Okay, administrative reports, upcoming events and holidays. Joyce, do you have a copy of that?
But I'll tell you what we have. One thing that we would have picked up if we had an updated piece of information, and that is the Christmas parade was changed from last Sunday to this coming Sunday because of the inclement weather. And let's hope we don't have it again. They're predicting rain. We have Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, and then we have New Year's Day, and that's all we have on the agenda for the winter. And probably around January or February, you'll start to see other things show up for events.
Maybe a good point, or a good time in our meeting to point out to council about council's involvement in the Christmas parade. Same as in years past. I think, though, we've changed the location as to where the float is going to be. It used to be behind Lowe's.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It'll still be, come to the veterinarians.
There on Shalford Road.
And it's a big float, like it's always been, you won't be able to miss it. We'll get you on if you get there. But it's not behind Lowe's this year.
And I think we've been asked to be there no later than 2:30. For those that, okay, next item.
Can I ask a question? Who's going to be there as like grand marshals and stuff this year?
Dan and Janet Jennings.
Okay. And then do we have any other legislative people there?
I think that Julia Howard will be there, I know.
No, she's not going to be. She had, when it was canceled, she had already a commitment for the 15th that she couldn't get out of. So there are some others I think that will be there. I know there'll be some of the county commissioners will be there. I think our district attorney, of course, the sheriff's department. I'm not for sure about the other legislators, the state legislators. I haven't heard anything there. The cancellation did take a toll with some of the attendees. Council photos.
Yes, council photos are scheduled for the meeting on January 9th. We're asking that everyone come in by 6:30, and they're going to be taken here. The photographer, I believe is going to set up everything down here this time so that we won't have the same background.
Okay. And that is the portrait, that was the council portrait that we taken into account. Excuse me. Okay, EPA update.
Okay, I think as everybody is aware that this is an update, we are involved, it is with the EPA, but it's Piedmont Together workshop update. We met with Ann Keller and members of PART for Piedmont Together and discussed the one-day workshop. We've set on the date of February, I believe it's the Saturday of the weekend of the 8th. We're going to be doing that workshop from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3. And as I mentioned in the briefing minutes, we certainly need to put together a group of maybe 25 or 30 citizens representing, it could be citizens or business people or anyone that we care to be at the table for this workshop. And again, it needs to be a good cross-section and diverse membership of this group. And if any of the council has anyone that they'd like to suggest for inclusion, we would need to get an email out hopefully next week as placeholders to people for this date so that they could reserve this time and be available for this workshop.
I'd like to make a suggestion. That's to ask at least one member from each of our boards and committees.
Yes, ma'am.
What time is that?
It will start at 9 in the morning and run till 3 in the afternoon.
That is a Saturday.
Yes, sir, Saturday.
And this is coming down to more like an invitation rather than just a blanket request.
It is. It's not intended to be an open invitation for people to come. It's just for information for this group. This group will need to be put together and selected and invited for attendance to the meeting.
So with that, we do need your input for your recommendations to attend that meeting. Any questions? Okay. Next item.
Okay, the next item is an update on the Lewisville-Vienna sidewalk. I've got the PID for this project sent away, and the PID, I did not get a response from Marta Matthews in Raleigh that she had a problem with the schedule that we have available for the PID for this sidewalk project. If all goes according to schedule, the PID timeframe that I've laid out would have going out for bid in July of 2014, and then I've given hopefully enough for as much as a year after that. I think a sidewalk should take a lot less time for construction. But in the meantime, I need to sort of brief the council that we need to get out and approach probably what's going to end up being the designing firm who did the design work on the sidewalk itself to help us with putting together a bidding package for which to use to go out for bid on this project. So I will be talking with Davenport and Winston-Salem and then bringing back a proposal for council's consideration in January to engage Davenport in writing the bid package and the contract documents to enable us to be able to proceed on a timely fashion with construction.
Very good. Any questions from council? That procedure? Did we skip over?
I did skip one.
State agency. Okay.
Last in the meeting we talked about, in the briefing, we did talk about state agency update. This was the notice that we've seen in the paper that the plate agency in Yadkinville was basically going to shut down unless somebody picked that contract up. At council's direction, I did do some homework. I called the gentleman that was given to me for the DMV. How this works is that it's a contract that that someone, a town included, could hold with the Department of Motor Vehicles. The transactions are on a fee per transaction basis. There are license tag renewals, various. Now we're going to be paying taxes, and per transaction, the state reimburses the agency or the contractor for the work being performed at the agency. Those per transaction reimbursements range from 71 cents per transaction on the low end up to a maximum of $1.43 per per transaction. I did ascertain from my conversations with him that in North Carolina there are 11 counties, 5 towns, and 3 chambers of commerce that do this work. I called the towns of Siler City, Newland, Robbins, and Hertford and discussed their license plate agency operation in all 4 cases out of the 5. And what I have really come up with as information for this group is that in all cases, this is not a money maker. This is a money loser as far as financial. The only real reason any of these communities offer the license plate agency through their towns is that in every case they had an agency within their town. The agency shut down, and the loss of the agency was going to require the people within their community drive 40 to 45 minutes to a neighboring community to conduct their business. They accept that. The losses vary. Some are great, some are hopefully break even, but nobody really makes any money on this. Yeah, as far as the process that we're involved with right now, or we've seen in the paper, the advertisement is for a plate agency that will serve the Yadkinville area. That deadline is for applications to be postmarked by December 16th. As far as after that deadline passes and our ability or anyone's ability to submit an application at large just because they feel like they want to be considered, the best way I could describe this is like putting in an application for someone who's not advertising a vacancy. They'll take it, but it'll go in a file, and it probably won't be considered unless they are then at some point in the future advertising for a vacancy that may fit the geography that you've applied for. And that's it.
Any questions of the manager on the information we have to this point?
Only a comment, if it's not going to be a moneymaker, I don't think we should touch it. End of story.
Well, it's very apparent, probably, but it doesn't have a lot of revenue potential in it as far as.
I can give you one example of the finances. Hertford projects revenue every year of $28,000. Their estimated expenditures on an annual basis is $45,000.
Are you okay, Kathy? Okay.
Any additional information that council might wish for on that particular item?
Can I ask a question about the sidewalks again before we?
Yes, well, let's finish this up because I was going to say, I take it from the lack of interest, I suppose, that we agree not to pursue this at this point. That a nod from everyone. Okay. All right. Now your question about sidewalks, Jeff.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. You said you were going to go. Is there a design already done for the sidewalk for Lewisville?
There is. We have a design. It has been finished up, and the design has been, at least verbally, met with approval for the DOT. I'm seeking encroachment agreements, and the paperwork on this one will be a lot less substantial than the roundabout. And then the only thing past that, at the time we advertise for construction, we will advertise for CEI on the project, but we do need to have a bid package before we can do any of that.
Right. And that design people are going to produce the bid package, the folks that actually design
Yeah,
it.
that's the recommendation. The recommendation for MARTA was that the people that designed it are probably going to be your best line for getting the bid package and the bidding documents prepared.
Yeah, no question. Okay.
Did I answer your questions?
Yep, pretty good.
All right. Anyone else have something on that item? If not, we'll go on to the next item.
The next item is an update on the CCUC agreement, and that is City County Utilities Commission. And I think it was discussed earlier in this evening, probably in the last meeting in this earlier meeting when we set the Utilities Committee. And for the good of everyone in the room, this is an agreement that the town of Lewisville has been engaged with over the past year plus with city county utilities to develop a service agreement. And we are reaching the final stretches of what I feel has been a successful run on this. And the ball is in CCUC's court. I sent Ron Hargrove an email last week. He has told me that he will have us our version back by tomorrow.
Oh, great.
Yes, so that's it.
Great.
And they did, I think maybe this is common knowledge among council, but they did also agree to a representative from CCUC serving as a member of this
Council.
this council,
Or committee.
this committee.
Yeah.
Any other questions you might have on the service agreement?
What is the time frame for, again, I'm being familiar with it, what's the time frame for initialing and concluding the agreement and actually signing the agreement?
I think that's going to be, we're going to cross our fingers that any changes that CCUC has inked on our last draft are minimal. And if they are minimal, then we'll just review that with our own attorney and our own group and then see where we go from there.
Okay. So it should be fairly,
Jen, great.
What town attorney is he was just going on a separate agreement that we really haven't gotten into lately with, which is our involvement in the lift station. But that will probably be manifested in a separate distinct agreement.
but we've already committed to that and
Yes, sir.
to the environmental study that I guess is either underway or completed by this time.
I think that's in agreement. I think Courtney might strangle both of us for saying this, but there may be a possibility that we won't have any financial commitment or participation in that environmental study after all.
Good. Best of all worlds. Next item on the agenda.
Okay, as a reminder, it's the month for board and committee appointments. I think January we kicked this off for advertisements and receiving people's interest in serving on the committee, and then the appointments taken care of by the board in March.
Are we going to do anything with, I know we've got one person who's leaving the planning board at the end of this month, so are we going to fill that one sooner than that, or, you know?
Councilman Zinger, I think our anticipation was we would probably discuss that in January's briefing, and yeah.
Is there an issue of a quorum with Mr. Lowers?
No.
I'm not sure, Jeff, if this is where you were heading on that, but I think there's a tremendous amount of work that's coming before that group, and if we have the opportunity to move forward sooner, at least maybe with an interim appointment, I don't know if that's possible or not, but March is a long time to wait, particularly if we can find some qualified candidates who might be willing to step that up. I know we timed the March appointments for a specific reason. I believe it was to correspond with the seating of a new council and their familiarity with planning board members, but we have a pretty experienced council already sitting here, and I don't know if this would be an opportunity to waive that particular concern. I know we've got some big stuff on the horizon.
Yes, we do. Well, the plans are to get into discussion, in-depth discussion on that on the January 2nd meeting.
Is anybody else terming off in March? Do we know? On the planning board?
Oh, yes, we do. We've got our new person, Catherine Heath, who was just appointed in August. She was filling Deb Gottschall's remainder of her term. She will be technically terming off in March, along with John Louder's position. He would have been coming to the end of his terms had he not had to resign.
I got you. Okay.
I've already sent, I'm sorry, I did send out an email to those folks who will be terming off on each one of the committees, so that, they can get back to me and let me know whether or not they're interested in
So,
Continue.
I would feel like.
All right. Good. Okay, next item.
Next section under staff reports, there are none this evening, and that brings us to, for the good of the order, under council discussions. We got, for the January meeting, be thinking of a date for the retreat.
Okay. Yep, everyone start thinking about that. Unbelievably how fast these budget cycles come around. That'll be one of the reasons for the retreat. Council, it is that time of our meeting where that if there's anything that we've covered or omitted tonight, certainly we have an opportunity to discuss at this point in time. Does anyone have any comments or questions concerning tonight's meeting or anything that may be on your mind? Anyone?
Just like to welcome Ed and Mike on the council. I thoroughly enjoyed the last 2 years. I'm looking forward to 2 more.
Great.
And I do want to express, going back pretty much the full 20 years with this boss, I can't think of anybody that I know who's been part of the town as integral as Tom has, from his role on the planning board and his position as mayor and his involvement in the council. Tom, you made a huge difference in this town, and your wisdom and experience and knowledge has been an immense service to this council. And I know personally, I really appreciated what you've added to our town in its future.
I think that goes for all of us. Very true. Thank you, Mike, for those kind words for Mr. Lawson. He's probably experiencing withdrawals already. We know he'll be available. So, any other comments of the council members? Well, I certainly am most appreciative to be elected for my 4th and final term as mayor. It's been my honor, my privilege to serve this town, and I pledge the next 2 years will be due diligence will be given to the town's business and to the town's well-being. And I think, needless to say, the council that we have that we'll be serving together with this next 2 years is very experienced. They all share the same passion for the town, and that we all do, each and every member. And I'm really looking forward to the next 2 years. And so, with that, I think the next item is adjournment. If I have a motion and a second for it. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your attendance.